Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Well Below Average podcast. I am producing on the fly. This is our show. I'm back, and I have to do this. We were just talking about this, doing something interesting, and I didn't do anything interesting. Sorry. Um, I got a story for you guys. Do you remember your first beer?
I do.
How was your first beer, Nick? What was your experience like? Walk me through it. Oh, Nick, we can't hear you. You're muted. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
There
Yeah,
he goes.
you're muted.
There is it.
It was awful. That's what I said. The first beer I ever had was at a buddy's house. It was a Blue Moon, just straight out of the bottle. So not even with the orange. The draft when Blue Moon is better. It was just a Blue Moon straight out of the bottle. And I remember hating it. And I don't even know if I finished it. I think I just pretended to drink the majority of it and didn't even finish it. So that's I'm almost positive that was the very first one. I don't know for sure, but I'm almost positive.
How old were you?
I was actually I think I was 21. I'm pretty sure. I didn't touch it until I was 21.
Wow.
I might have been a few days early, but yeah.
Okay. So unenjoyable. Roy, what was your first beer? Your first drinking experience? How old
The
were
same.
you?
Terrible. But it was my sister and I were doing it as a dare when we were probably 10 and 9 years old, respectively. She a year older than I am. And my father was having a party. He was a military captain, so he tended to have, host parties for the cadets that he would teach in pilot school. And so he would have these parties, and there would inevitably be drinks there. And I didn't really know what that was all about, but I remember, one night my sister and I looking at it and, oh, you sneak a drink. We tasted it. It tasted awful. That was my first sip experience, my first real beverage experience where I tried to drink the whole thing and meant to was when I was about 15 up in Montana. And sure enough, the beer that they had out there was a Lone Star. If you guys have had a Lone Star, it's a
Not high class.
decent, yeah, not high society beverage by any means, and I guess probably as good of any introduction into the beer game because I don't think the first time you drink it, I don't care what it is, I don't think you can enjoy it.
Well,
Yeah.
My first drink. So I'll tell you mine, and then I have a little story because I took my 18-year-old to get her first drink in Cozumel. My first beer was a Bud Light that a friend of mine had hidden in the bushes in the Texas summer. We were about 13 or 14, and me, him, and another guy pulled it out, and shared a 115-degree beer.
Oh gosh.
Nothing to
Bud Light.
gain from it too, because if you guys, the three of you, are sharing one beer, and that's another question, right? The first drink that you had versus the first time you really got drunk, and it sounds like both of those items collided for you on this event for your daughter, which might make it very unpleasant.
Yes. So let me set the table for you. We're in Cozumel. My two youngest stayed on the cruise. I just got back from a cruise. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We go out and do some cultural things.
Senor
And-
Frogs.
Well, that's where we ended up.
It's the cultural
walking-
thing that you mentioned.
No, the cultural thing was we went to actually a Mayan some kind of plateau or whatever, and they did like some. Yeah, it was like Log Cabin Village, but for Mayan culture. But we did that, and my wife was like, "Well, it's 18. You can drink. She can drink in Mexico. Let's get her a first drink." I'm wearing my like World's Greatest Dad T-shirt, by the way. We go to Senor Frogs, which is a Cozumel cultural experience in itself, and I made a mistake, guys. Made a big mistake. I said, let's do tequila shots. Right off the bat. I'm thinking we're going to sit here. The boat's right there. The boat is so close. One shot. We'll have a beer. We'll sit here, eat some nachos, and have a snack. And beer for a couple hours. No big deal. Drink our shots. My wife then orders the margaritas.
Big mistake.
Yeah, that's her mistake.
Big mistake.
Strong.
So, those things, dude. They there's probably like 4 to 5 shots in that.
I had trouble with it. We all drink our margarita. Then my daughter, she's starting to feel it. Wants another round. So my wife's like, okay. I'm like, I'm done with that. Just give me one Dos Equis. From the time we ordered that third drink to the time it got there, my 18-year-old daughter went from, I kind of feel it, to dancing in her chair, chasing down the shot girl. It's got the free shots, getting the conga line, chasing her down, dancing on stage. She went off the rail. Like, it hit her like a ton of bricks. It was crazy. My wife wound up drinking both of her drinks without her knowing. And she is a talkative, emotional, somewhat belligerent drunk, my 18-year-old.
You didn't use it as an opportunity to like grill her, use it as some truth serum, something she might be honest about that, like, I'm going to save that. If I get my kids drunk the first time, like, I'm going to have something in my back pocket that I am going to ask them about that I was certain that they lied about, but I couldn't prove. And I'm going to make them admit it in the moment.
Maybe I would have gotten there, but it got out of hand. Like, she stood up. So when she finally kind of stood up to leave, I think it really hit her. She couldn't walk.
We're talking, this is an 18-year-old daughter, correct?
18-year-old daughter.
Bro, I mean, you were on a cruise. That actually had to be a little bit of like monitoring at a minimum. Because, dude, there's probably some horny teenagers running around, and it's not a big boat when it comes to like the scene. You know what I mean? You see a lot of the same folks.
Well,
did she find a hookup that you know of?
No, she couldn't have, because we drug her as far as we could. We get to the check-in, we have to like show our IDs and stuff. She can't stand. So they get her in a wheelchair.
My God.
A person from Royal Caribbean comes out, takes our information down, wheelchairs her to the boat. There's like different security checkpoints. We get through the next checkpoint. The guy from the first one had radioed in, and the head of the security for the boat was waiting for us to grill us because, it's 18 in Mexico, but 21 on the boat. So we had to sit and explain ourselves to the head of security, all while my daughter she's belligerent. She's like, I like your outfit, and trying to touch this security guard. And I'm like, I'm wanting to just like karate chop her. Oh my God, is the boat moving? Oh, please be quiet. Please be quiet. Please be quiet.
Did they accept the explanation, or how did that go?
He turns his camera on. He had the body armor camera on, clicks that on. And
after he worked you over a little bit, right? They always turn it on after they work you over.
Yeah, so after bust me in my chops a little. We basically had to say that she got drunk off the boat and that we would take responsibility for her And he was like, as soon as he got that on camera, he's like, okay, you're fine.
Okay.
And
Nice. Nice. So
we'll,
they're CYA, right? They're treating it like they're trying to get on you about something, but in reality, they're just CYA covering their own ass.
and honestly, there was 5 security guards around of us. Not a one of them was over 5'4". I think I could have taken them all.
So was she in a position enough that you could take her back to her room and she was ready to, just pass out, like ready to go? Or was she, I'm still in party mode because they got clubs on those cruises too?
No, they wheelchaired her to her room.
It wheelchaired her. Yeah, she wasn't in a party mood. I forgot about that detail.
And then she was trying to be all like, I don't want to lay down. We're like, lay down. No, I don't want to. So I kind of chucked her on the bed. And that was funny because she started yelling at me like, I can't believe you put your hands on me and threw me on the bed. But anyway.
How dare you, Dad?
Yeah,
how dare you, Dad?
How'd she feel the next day?
This was like at 1 p.m.
God,
This was not at night.
How'd she feel at dinner?
Bad. She got up. She came back in our room because she threw up everywhere. We had to get housekeeping to come, like, sanitize her room. They take it seriously. It was not just, oh, we'll clean it up. It was, we need name information. It was, again, another, like, the housekeeping staff grilling us. Yeah, she came in about 7 while they were cleaning, sitting in our room, and she was still drunk, still running her mouth. She likes to talk. But yeah, the next day she pretty much stayed in her room, and I didn't see her the whole time.
That will be a story. I mean, talk about if you ever want to embarrass her, you've got it. You've got unlimited ammo there.
You really have ammo if you took any video.
Oh, my wife recorded the whole thing. We probably have, of the 2 hours we were sitting there, we probably have an hour of video.
Wow.
Was outside of that, was the cruise enjoyable?
It was. I was telling Roy a little bit that it was. I'll show you. This is her face.
Yeah, she was having a good time.
Yeah, she was probably yelling at me for taking a picture. And we can get into that, but let me go ahead and kick off the show a little. Let's introduce everybody. Below me here is Nick Nepic. Nick, how are you doing today? Long time no see.
Good. I'm doing good. Welcome back to life here. But things are going well, and no complaints here.
Awesome. And to my radio right is Roy White. How you doing?
See, I feel like you're that way for me, but I'm good, man. I'm good. I like the way you introed the show today. It's a good vibe. No suggestion of mine. Just you came up with that, and I think that's brilliant.
Sorry, I thought you were going to go longer.
That's okay. No, that was a real awkward, pained silence there. But hey, that gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about our sponsors, right? We got our good friends, Local Menace, destined to destroy your wardrobe. You can see it right there above our man Adam's head there. Great street gear, great streetwear, great brands, a lot of great wardrobe outfits, stuff that'll really get you fresh here in the summer around DFW. And Adam, I think you got a promo code for that too, right, brother?
Yes. Let me throw that up here real quick. Beard Crew. Get the right one. There you go. Beard Crew right there.
Go use that at the website. Hit them up on Instagram. Local Menace here in DFW. Destined to destroy your wardrobe. On a mission to destroy your wardrobe. And they're going to do it.
Yes. Scary. And our next one is, I'll throw it to you, Nick. Rodeo.
Yeah, Rodeo Coffee. You see their Instagram handles down there. Check them out on Instagram. They'll be putting new menu items up tomorrow. They usually do every first of the month. They throw out a few new drinks for their weekend selection. They're Thursday through Sunday, 7 to 11:30 in the Walsh neighborhood out here in Fort Worth, off of South 30 and Walsh, actually, and it's right in there. So check them out. You can also get roasted bean coffee from them as well. So just go check them out on Instagram. They'll put all their stuff up there. They'll let you know when they're open, if they're going to do any pop-ups or anything like that.
And our third sponsor, awkward for me, but it's my company, Ish Beard Works and Men's Hygiene. Check us out for beard care, hygiene care, men's. We do have gender neutral aromatherapy products, all kinds of great stuff, all handmade by me. We're local out of DFW here. We have a website, ishbeardworks.com, ISCH. I should probably make a banner for that. Check us out. It would help support me and my efforts. It would help support the show. And yeah, give us a check out at ishbeardworks.com. And you can use code LOVE, LOVE, easy enough, for 15% off your whole order there as well. But yeah, let's get into some vacay talk, because we got a few things. We're going to do some vacay talk. I got one news story talk about. I don't know if we have a Nick Hates It or not.
Oh, we do. We
do. Roy will get some time to vent as well. And sports are starting to come back. So I think we got some sports topics we need to dig into. It's a trade deadline, Cowboys training camp, all kinds of fun stuff. But let's start out with some vacation talk. As Roy, I believe, or Nick asked about my cruise. I just got back from a vacation. First international vacation of my life. Not first international experience. I've been to the Middle East a couple of times. Not good vacationing. But yeah, I went on a Caribbean cruise. Caribbean or Caribbean? What do y'all call it?
Caribbean.
So the Caribbean cruise, it was good. Let me put it that way. I likened it. It's the sample platter of vacations, because you get a little bit of everything. You kind of get that. There's like a casino on board. You have the shows and stuff. And dining is great. We opted for like the little upgraded dining and drink package. So literally we could go to any bar, anything. We couldn't get alcohol for included. We had to pay for that, but we could get anything, any non-alcoholic drink we wanted. So I'd go to one bar, get a bottle of water, get a soda. I'd be hands full of stuff.
Did you bring your own alcohol on the boat?
You can bring a certain amount of wine. I think it's like 2 750 milliliter bottles of wine.
Okay.
Because my wife and I were plotting. Well, my wife and I were thinking about buying 2 cheap bottles of wine, dumping it out, and filling it with liquor. Because I have the machinery to like reseal everything. So that's what we're. But we didn't go through with it.
Chestnut checkers, right?
There you go. Right. I'm not much of a drinker anyway, so it doesn't matter to me.
It's my life. Sorry.
on vacation, I feel like I'm more inclined for sure.
I I had a shot of tequila, a margarita, and a beer in Cozumel.
Now,
it's crazy though when you have kids, like you can't indulge as much.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of really. You got to keep it in moderation with the kids. But and I'll admit this, I have a drinking problem. I was in the military, and I didn't just go enjoy a beer. I drank until I passed out every time I drank. And I thought it was best just to stay away from it.
Now, was this cruise? I've never been on a cruise. And obviously, they were hard hit by COVID. Was it like completely normal? Did you have to prove like a test beforehand? Did you have to prove vaccination, anything like that?
Yeah, so we had to upload our vaccinations. We had to take a test through like a certain you go to like Walgreens or CVS, but they're expensive. They're $150 a person now. We did an at-home one. They have an approved at-home one where you take it and somebody's on the phone with you through an app and monitors you. But we did that. Yeah, so you have to prove everything. And it didn't stop me from catching COVID on our trip.
On the trip, not after you got back.
I tested myself with an at-home. I wasn't feeling well Sunday. I get home, and yeah, I tested positive. My 18-year-old tested positive. We're the only two, and we start getting better. And then like yesterday, day before, my 9-year-old son test positive. So
Wow.
Anybody have like somewhat serious symptoms, or everybody just kind of like a cold?
I had more like a cold, that type of thing. Me and my daughter both had real mild symptoms. My son, he just says he got a sore throat and a runny nose.
I know another person that I worked with. They went on a cruise. They got COVID. So it seems like pretty good odds if you go on a cruise, you might end up with it.
Here's the deal: like going in, they kind of segment you. Like you come in staggered. You have your onboarding time. During the ship is close quarters, but you don't have to be around people. There's space in the ship. Coming out though, they shove you out. You are crowded. They shove you out. They shove you through customs. It's crowded. It is. You're nut to butt. You're just, yeah. That's where I think I got it that Sunday.
Yeah.
How long did you spend in customs?
2 minutes. It was, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't too bad.
And I brought back 60 Mexican tramadols. Straight through.
What is that?
Oh, it's kind of a mild pain reliever. I take them for headaches, but
nice.
You know, with the U.S. cracking down on opioids, it's yeah, they're really hard to get.
It was a good snag.
Yeah, it was a good haul there.
Made the whole trip worth it. Stroke smuggling.
Well, it's like the only thing that works for my headaches, like for real, that I can function on. I get migraines, and the stuff they give me, I'm wiped out. It knocks me out. I sleep all day. I feel like crap. Tramadols, I could take them, knocks my headache out, and I could function for the rest of the day. Because I'm
glad I don't mess with headaches, man. Glad I don't get those.
Yeah, but it was good. So I was saying, it's like the sampler platter. You know, we stopped in Mexico. I forget the first place. The Roatan and Honduras, Belize City, and then Cozumel. So you get to kind of sample little bit of culture, and you get to do different things. All in all, I enjoyed it, but my wife and I both agreed next trip we're probably going to go back to Roatan and spend the week there, just on that island.
How long was the whole cruise?
7 days.
Okay.
7 days, and it's kind of neat. It's couldn't pick a better week. Every time I checked the weather here, it was 105 and up. I'd sit outside of my balcony. Yeah, it was a little humid, but it was 82 degrees in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. I got a balcony room, by the way. Just put my feet up and watching the sunset over the horizon. It's pretty neat. So that's my vacation. Yeah. But yeah, the big story was I got COVID, which I was 28 months into this thing. I finally get it.
Roy, have you had it?
I guess I did, yeah. But no, technically, I've not had it. My wife and both my kids have had it. I've never tested positive for it.
Wow.
Family has. I have not. I don't know how I've avoided it.
I mean, I know some people can get it, not show any symptoms, so they don't think, no need to test. But
no, you know what? I say that, I'm sorry, I'm lying, because there was one that I did have a bout with it. It kicked my butt pretty good. Knocked me out because I remember the brain fog. I remember the brain fog and the body fatigue that was associated with it that people were talking about. And those really stuck out to me because those stuck with me for a couple of days, even after the sickness was gone. But yeah, man, glad I didn't. I mean, that sucks that you ended up getting it, but you kind of wrote in the show notes about like, how much are we really even preparing or like doing against this anymore? Dude, I'm like ashamed to admit my answer is nothing at this point. Like, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not like social distancing. Even if I went into an airport, I think at this point I would probably just like play it relaxed. And uh, it sounds totally stupid considering the stance that like and the kick I was on for a year and a half with it, but and considering that things do appear to be getting worse, right? Like I don't know if this is just my own fatigue of trying to like guard against it, or also like perhaps I am influenced by the fact that the media isn't really making a big thing about it, so I don't think it's that big of a thing in turn. Right? Not to blame everything
Yeah.
on the media because I try to be an independent thinker as we all do, but we're not above like our brains aren't so, complex that we're above like the influences of that other people are like influenced by as well. If you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah, I think I was watching the news this morning, and a doctor was asked, like, are we just to the point where, people always said like COVID's going to end up like the flu or a cold, like we're just going to live with it. And they asked this doctor, like, are we there? And he said, yeah, we are. And I think that's where I'm at. Like, I've had it. I've gotten vaccinated. I've gotten my booster. Like, I'm as protected really as I could be. And so, I'm just going to, if I get it, I won't be fun, but I'll, take the proper precautions and stay home and, stay away from people. But I think that's where I'm at. Just maybe it's because it's been 2.5 years and like, okay, eventually like we're just going to forget about it, or two, like, and also, we don't get the daily, like if you turn on any major news network in the morning, for 2 years, they said, all right, the COVID numbers are here, or they're here, or, where are we at? It was the first thing they talked about. And now, I mean, maybe they mention it in a newscast. Sometimes they don't at all. I mean, sometimes you go days without hearing anything about it. And I think that's a huge part of it as well. It's just not being mentioned as much anymore.
Yeah. My whole thought on it is, and I'm kind of with you on it, but I've been vaxxed. I social distanced for the whole time. I stayed indoors and I didn't go out unless absolutely had to. I masked. I did all that. But I kind of felt like that was the bargain. I'm going to social distance. I'm going to mask up. I'm going to do all the right things. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to get vaxxed and get boosted. Now, if I get it, it shouldn't be that bad, but it's what I got understood. And we do all those things, we should be able to live a normal life. And so that's been my perspective on it. Is I did everything I'm supposed to do. If somebody didn't get vaxxed, didn't do what they were supposed to do, that's more on them than me at this point.
And was it, by the way, was it pretty mild for you? What were your symptoms like?
I felt bad one day, Monday. I felt bad, but it was more like a cold than anything. I guess I kind of felt weak and had like shortness of breath, and that was about the worst of it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that sounds familiar.
Wasn't debilitating by any stretch. But yeah, I've heard like Fort Worth wants you to start masking up now again, and lots of places are asking for that. So I didn't know if any of y'all heard that or if y'all are participating.
I think it's going to be hard to get people back into that mode. Like,
oh yeah.
Again, I mean, you guys remember me on this kick, and we were on the show talking about it, and y'all know my feelings on it, right? Like, at the same time, I get people just being like tired of it and wanting to go back to normal life and almost like ignoring shit, look at all the other stuff we ignore in our reality that we know is like eventually going to come to roost, right? This drought and water crisis that we're having across the country, across the world, like, do we not think that's going to come to a head at some point? But until it does, we're always going to go about our lives as if nothing's changed. It's I think it's a symptom of human nature, to be honest with you, is just to like
the
blinders up and try to take care of your own.
And unfortunately, and that Texas is the main culprit of this. If anyone is told like, hey, you should wear a mask, like that's a good thing to do, then all we'll hear is, well, that's impeding on my freedom. Like I'm, you're telling me what to do. Like nobody can tell me what to do. Like that was the biggest, load of crap that you heard from everybody. Like, oh, you're going to mandate that I wear a mask. Well, I'm not going to wear one. Like people just think like if you suggest something like, hey, this is a good thing to do, like it makes everybody safe. Like you can't tell me what to do. I do whatever I want. My kids do what they want. Like you can't make them do anything. And it's just this. I mean, I feel like Texas is the main the poster child for that attitude is what I guess what I was trying to get at. Like if you recommend anything, well, I'm going to do the opposite. And so if anyone said, we should go back to wearing masks, or like if you were to go to a certain place, like let's just say, I don't know, airports. Oh, it would be a nightmare. I mean, there'd be videos on Twitter every day of people just freaking out about now they're saying I need to wear a mask again, but 2 days ago I didn't have to. All this, that, and the other. I'm the kind of person, whenever it was recommended, like, hey, we should wear a mask, or even like when they took away the recommendations, like if a business had a sign on their door, I just keep one in my pocket and I just throw it on when I went in there, because I don't know, it's like the respectful thing to do. Like I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable by them telling me, hey sir, can you put on a mask? Like I'm just going to do it, and it's not all that inconvenient. But if we tried to go back, or like if there was this big push to go back to that, it would end poorly. It would end very poorly, at least here.
Yeah, Texas is just a bunch of contrarians, like for no other reason, just to argue. It's serves no purpose. But so I got a quick story. Transition over to our one and only news story, and I thought it was interesting because it has to do with revenge. Have either of y'all ever taken revenge on anybody? Roy, you seem like the kind of guy that would revenge somebody pretty good.
Me? No.
Yeah.
No, I can't really think of anything, because revenge is not like the end game, right? I mean, unless you end it, getting real dark. What you're leaving yourself open to someone coming back to you for revenge, aren't you? So I can't think of a time. I mean, I'm sure I did, right? I'm not above it. I'm not by any means like above having a grudge, but revenge on someone, that just takes a different level of planning, almost, I guess you could say.
Nick, you ever gotten revenge on anybody?
The only thing that comes to mind is when I was in high school. I guess I was like a freshman, so early high school. I moved to a new neighborhood down the street from a girl that I went to school with that I'd known my whole life. And my bedroom was in the front of the house, and it had big windows. And her and another girl from our class came down and like wrote all over the windows with like that, the paint that people put on their cars, like nothing in bad taste or inappropriate, but just cover the windows and all kinds of stuff. And so me and my buddies one night went down the street to her house. It was like 10 houses down, so we on a corner, and we took 96 rolls of toilet paper and TP'd her house, and then put forks all in her yard, and like poured just bags of crumpled up paper all over the yard. I mean, we were out there forever,
dude.
But it was 96 rolls of toilet paper in her yard, and of course, I think her parents knew it was us. But that's the only like revenge. It wasn't real revenge, but we used to TP houses quite a bit back in like early high school, especially like once we could drive. And so I feel like that's a lost art, is a good old house TP. But yeah, we went way over the top, and I think one of my buddies, I don't remember what he did, but he like got one of the rolls of toilet paper like soaking wet and like stuck it on a window or something, and it dries, and so they have to pull it off. And I mean, we just went way over the top. So it was like all in good fun, but definitely, too much thinking back on it.
My most recent revenge, I can't think of any. I do obviously my business. I have a social media account, Instagram, and I tagged a creator, a content creator, a YouTuber on Instagram on a few of my posts throughout the week, maybe like one a day, 4 or 5 days in a row. And he sent me a direct message, just like, read me the riot act. Like, I had no right to be tagging him. Why would he tag me? He's tired of seeing him. Like, this guy's had over 10,000 followers. Anyway, like, he was really upset that I was tagging him. So, okay, fine, I won't do it again. And he wouldn't stop. He would not stop. He was like, every time I was like, okay, sorry, I won't do it again. Yeah, but and then like another big paragraph of like, and A had heard this guy he's the nicest guy in the world. No, he's not. He's an a-hole. So I found out where he lived, what town he lived in, and I sent the SWAT team. No, I found out. I found out what town he lived in, and so you do paid ads. So I did paid ads targeted specifically for his town of my business, so that every time he got on Instagram, he would see me. I did that for about a week.
That's actually, I mean, that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So
did you hear more from him after that?
No, I blocked him.
Okay.
Well, no, I didn't. I muted him so he could see it. Sorry, because if he blocked it, he wouldn't see it. But yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah, that's pretty great though. I like that you could target it that well though in his town, like in his area.
Yeah, I don't remember the town, somewhere in Michigan or something. And
it's really funny.
Yeah.
How much did that cost you, by the way?
I think it's been like $15, $10-15.
Oh, that's worth it.
Yeah,
that's a win.
Just to stick in his craw a little bit. But this person we're going to talk about from North Carolina went a little further than that, as she plotted to burn down her ex-boyfriend's house.
Yikes.
But she got the wrong house. Yeah. So the woman, police responded to a call from a homeowner that someone had set fire to her porch, had set bundles of wood on and fire, a bundle of fire, I guess, on the porch, found jugs of oil that were used to start a fire. When the homeowner saw the fire, went to go get the garden hose to put it out, but the garden hose was blocked. The arsonist, the revenger, had blocked the hoses so that she couldn't put the fire out. She sealed it. She put like a sealant in there.
Whoa.
And then and this is not the right person. This is not the ex-boyfriend. So
But she planned it out like ahead of time.
Yes. Set fires around the property, plugged up the water hoses so they couldn't put the water out. But then the homeowner grabbed a gun to confront, because I guess the woman was still on her property. So the woman still on her property, had stolen her dog, the other lady's dog, and chased her off at gunpoint. And the police found her fairly quickly and charged her with first-degree arson, assault with a deadly weapon, and larceny of an animal. Bond set at $101,000.
Golly. If you're going to do something like that, you've got to be sure. Like, you have to be 100% without a doubt. And even then, like, don't do that. Like, right?
I mean, that would have only taken about 2 seconds. Like, run to the mailbox, check the name. Just check the name. And if the name on the mail that's in there is not the one you're looking for, like, golly, that's I feel terrible for that family. What type of insurance claim are you making there? Like, how much money are you out because of this crazy? I mean, is it even an insurance claim, right? Or like, are you basically their insurance is going to go try to charge this woman and they're not going to pay you a dime until she pays out, kind of thing? Like,
yeah,
wow,
$20,000 in damage is what this woman caused.
But not just that. I mean, I bet they can't even live in that home for the time being.
Yeah, that and like, what was the relationship? Like, the ex-boyfriend, you didn't even know where he lived. You weren't sure, because
like maybe a previously place he had lived in long ago. But again,
Maybe.
Quick peek in the mailbox. Tell you what you need to know on that one.
Like, was she holding this grudge for a while, and like they'd broken up a while ago, and so that's where he lived when they were together, and she just was like letting her wheels spin, like getting more mad, and then finally thought, I'm going over there. Because typically when I'm, the most angry and going to do something that's irrational, it's like right after. Like if I give myself, a 30 minutes, an hour, okay, I cool off, I'm fine. If this lady, if that's the case, this lady, she's got to figure it out. Just like let it go, and don't try to burn someone's house down. Like, are you also saying? Is she also saying like I'm okay with murdering him? Because if he's in there, and I'm setting the house on fire.
She was definitely okay with that.
Yeah. But
Right?
she took the dog out. Does she get points for that? Apparently, I don't know if she's trying to kidnap the dog or save the dog.
Yeah, maybe a little, but golly.
That anger will get you. That revenge will get you. But no one gets angry like our friend Nick Nepic. Hold on. Sorry.
Oh no!
It was so smooth up.
All right. Have you guys heard? There's big ice cream news this week. Does anyone? Does that ring a bell for anybody?
I know what happened, man.
I don't know.
R.I.P. to a legend, dude. A freaking all-star in the game, Adam. Are you kidding me? I can't believe they did it to my man.
A legend in the ice cream game is no more, at least for now. I did hear some potential good news today, but Klondike has announced they are no longer the Choco Taco. They'll no longer be available or in circulation. And it has been years since I've had a Choco Taco, but let me tell you, I remember as a kid when the ice cream trucks would still come around. I would notice it. They put all the pictures up of all the ice creams, and I'd be like, what is that? Like when I was little, I was like, I wanted the Ninja Turtle or whatever. And then finally one time I was like, I want a taco. I'll try that. It's very good. Just a great novelty, especially here in Texas. I love a good ice cream cone. Like I love the cone, the crunch, the sweetness of the ice cream. It's the perfect combo. But the Klondike has announced the Choco Taco is no more. But I did hear today there are rumblings that they're gonna turn back on that and actually bring it back. So maybe it's like the old it's like the McRib thing where like, all right, it's back, and then now it's gone. Like they're just to drum up people want it back, or like Taco Bell. They brought back the Mexican pizza, and now they've sold out of the Mexican pizza, and it's more popular than ever. Maybe it's just a little ploy by a Klondike here, but if we never see the Choco Taco again, it was a life well lived for an ice cream legend, and ice cream truck. Maybe the downfall of the ice cream truck is a big part of this. You just don't see them anymore, and that was, they were mainly carried there. So rest in peace, at least for now. If you have any and you're out there, enjoy one last one, or save it, for a while and then enjoy it.
The ice cream truck's still around. We have the one around my neighborhood.
Well, I would say they're just not as popular as they used to be.
Not as prevalent, I would agree, but they are still kicking. There's some still kicking around. Granted, the Choco Taco was a staple of the ice cream truck, but you can get it actually in grocery stores now, or at least you could, up until they made that announcement. And it just doesn't do it justice. It's obviously not a taco. It's a waffle shell. And that's the beauty of it. It is a self-contained ice cream in a waffle cone with a topping, right? All in one. Now, is the Nutty Buddy or, the ice cream cone kind of the same thing? Well, yeah, okay, maybe it's the same thing, but it's not, because it's not a taco. And for that reason, I think Nick is onto something here, like sniffing it out. We need to keep our eye on this story as to whether or not this was a marketing ploy, because just by announcing its cancellation, it makes it hot. And then if they bring it back, it will sell like crazy. And had they done any of that just under the cover of darkness, right? Had they done that with no fanfare, no one would have known. Probably no one would have given a rat's ass. And doing it this way, if they do come back, we'll care. And they might sell a few more of them, which, funny enough, like Nick said, and I agree, haven't had one in years. Love them to death. Haven't had one in a decade.
I cannot recall. I'm sitting there thinking, I don't think I've ever had one.
Never had a top man. Okay, see, for that reason, though, you should get one.
Yeah.
It's my fault I wasn't buying them. They're not selling well enough. I feel like I've had one, but it's like I just can't recall ever getting one. So, rest in peace, Choco Taco, maybe, or Taco Choco, whatever.
For now.
R.I.P.
All right, Roy, what do you got? You want to complain about my transition to the Nick Hates It?
No, I mean, no complaint. There's no complaint. Like, I'm a fourth wall guy, right? I don't care about the fourth wall. I think it's fun to let people in on the production side of it. Like, we really are just three guys, right? There's no one on the outside pulling the strings. There's no, like, master man in our ear telling us what we can and cannot say or should and should not say. And so I like to, like, hey, we're still moving the pieces on the fly as it is. But no, I wish I had something like really meaningful to you other than this drought thing. Like, I touched on it a little bit, dude, but I went golfing today at Lake Park in Louisville. And I'm not a big golfer. This isn't even about golf. This was in this area. There are like little water fixtures inside the Lake Park grounds, right? And they're just these lakes. It's not lakes. It's like little ponds that aren't even really areas that are like hazards, if you will. They're just there for scenery, to have a little water around. You might hit it into them, you might not, but they're not really all that close. Well, I look at these things, and I mean, I've been going to this course for 15 years, since as long as I've been here in 2000 when I moved here. And I cannot remember a time when I saw less water in those little ponds. Like, up in the past, they had been right up to the edge of the pond. Well, now, not only is there like probably a good 2 feet of like dirt right on the edge that obviously the water has receded from, but now it's begun to recede even further inward to the point that, like, I'm looking at these ponds and I'm thinking, how many years until these are just oversized sand traps in the middle of Louisville? And again, I know, what can us average three guys do, right? When there's millionaires and billionaires flying jets and powering motorboats across the country, what good is me taking a plastic bag out to the recycling bin going to do? I don't know the answer to that. But at the same time, like, if you don't think climate change is real, go outside, go look the hell around. And this wasn't necessarily to be a thing about Roy impresses you on climate change or anything like that. It's just, damn. Yeah, it ain't all that fun when Roy's just complaining about, like, what are we going to do about water? But I couple that with the fact that for the last, like, 3 weeks going around racetracks and, gas stations around the area, you would also have been very hard-pressed to find a bag of ice for purchase.
Wow.
So all those things going together, man. Having fun.
Yeah, this is the second longest drought we've ever had, I think, in North Texas or the longest stretch without like measurable rain at DFW Airport since like 2000.
We had a small drizzle the other day. Everybody got real excited. My wife's like, "Put the thing on the car."
And then, in fact, just the other day, the exit that we take to get to our house, it's like one of those long exits, and there's a big median between the highway and the service road. Grass fire, whole thing on fire, and now it's like a huge black patch, just billows of smoke. I came home, my wife left right after me to go meet some friends, and she called me. She's like, "There's a huge grass fire just off the highway there," and now it's just a huge, I mean, probably several hundred yards long black patch of burnt grass that was probably started from something very minuscule, but it's so dry that anything will just catch on fire.
Anything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
yeah. Y'all watch John Oliver?
I do.
Did you see the one who's talking about the Colorado River and how they 20, 30 years ago divvied it up wrong and knew they divvied it up wrong and over allocated water to all these cities, and that's causing a huge, really contributing to the drought over there?
I mean, I didn't see that, but John Oliver, when he dives into something, no pun intended there, as he's diving into the Lake Mead situation, but like when he dives into something, he takes a good long look at it and really informs you well about the circumstances. And it's just crazy, like seeing how fast that water's going down and knowing that is like the water system of the West. Like, what are they going to do when that stuff goes dry? And as they continue to find bodies further and further down the bottom of the lake that have been dumped there for years and years and years. Couple that with the fact that I don't know if you guys saw, like maybe a week and a half ago, there was a massive fire there at Hoover Dam.
Mm-mm.
There was an incredible video of a fire. They were like up on top of it and they were looking down at the bottom, and there was this massive explosion and fire that took place down there. So, yeah, man, it's getting dicey out there. It's getting dicey. So don't waste water. If you're the type of person that, hey, if you want to do something, right? And I do it. I would turn the water on in the shower, like to let it get hot. Don't. I'm trying not to do that now. Like, even that's not a lot, but it's something, because damn, when you look around, we waste a whole lot of water. We really do.
Yeah. I actually I switch it out, but I might put it back on. I have a shower head that helps you take a military shower with it, where it turns off from the head. It's got a little switch on the head, little notch, and you spray it, get yourself wet, turn it off, soap up, turn it back on, spray yourself, rinse off.
Man, I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the future.
Yeah.
Systems should probably be that already, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to start doing that probably soon, because I am Mr. Let's get the shower, bathroom all steamy and hang out.
Yeah, right. Like, I like it too. It's comfortable. I like to take long showers, long and hot ones, but I've been trying to be conscientious of it. That's all we can do.
That's what us three guys can do. We can take.
We're gonna fix it ourselves.
Yeah.
Short showers.
Short showers. That's the key. Well, that's always fun. Let's talk about TV stuff. You have anything? I haven't watched anything since I got back. I put it on here. Either y'all been watching anything cool, seen any new movies you want to talk about?
I have not, actually. Really haven't watched anything new lately. So, Roy, it's on you.
Well, Better Call Saul's finally coming to a conclusion, and I think it has been as good as people, I guess, rail about. Now, granted, like, I am a Vince Gilligan homer, right? So I do tend to side on like brilliance over arrogance or boredom, as some people think he's delivered on the latter many times over between the series of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But like, I've been following that. I think it's fantastic. It's got maybe, I think, 2 or 3 episodes left, and it looks like it's going to come to an interesting conclusion. And then Peaky Blinders, which cannot be watched without subtitles. I challenge anybody out there to do it, because I don't know how you could. But it's got Cillian Murphy, who probably is best known for his role as the Scarecrow in the first Batman with Christian Bale. And then also Tom Hardy, who isn't like in every season of it, but he's in enough of them that he he plays a really interesting character himself. The whole series, I think, is good. 1920s gangsters in Birmingham, England, Birmingham, UK, and they're gypsies to add to
It
the
always
intrigue.
shocks me that Tom Hardy is British. He's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he plays this like gypsy. I mean, it's gypsies, right? They got all these crazy dialects, and he's got this insane accent. Again, I've watched it without subtitles. Can't understand a word that he says.
Yeah, I don't even
Yeah,
know what
it's
to
not a
call it.
foreign language.
It's just really messed up English, but cool. I've seen Peaky. I haven't seen it, but that's one of my short lists to get into.
There's
whenever
two for you if you guys are looking for something to start up on: Better Call Saul and Peaky Blinders.
I stopped. So I watched Better Call Saul. I think up to season 3. What season are they on?
I think it's like 6 now.
Okay, so maybe 4.
Final
I'm
one.
like two seasons behind, and I'm just at this point. I'm just gonna wait for them all to show up on whatever streaming and binge them at one point.
Yeah, it's season 6, the second part of season 6.
Okay. So we'll get into that. We need Cobra Kai to come back so we can really dig into
We
this
do.
talk here.
Do we
You got time, Roy. Start watching.
need it to come
Start
back?
watching.
We do. We need more Johnny Lawrence out there with this Trans Am at 50. All right. Well, let's close out on some sports talk because the sports dead period is finally coming to an end. We got Cowboys training camp, MLB trade deadline. Rangers are in a position to grab some talent, whether it be minor league or not. And I have a SummerSlam review because I watched SummerSlam last night, and we're going to talk some wrestling. But let's. What do you want to do first?
If you want to get into SummerSlam, go for it.
Yeah, you start with SummerSlam, and then we'll piggyback from there.
All right. So watch SummerSlam. We had 2 matches I want to talk about because Roy and I we talked about this a little with WrestleMania. I thought, what's his name? Pat McAfee was really good.
I did watch the highlight clips of that. I thought it was good. I mean, I like Pat McAfee a lot. Like I guess broadcaster, he's great, hilarious. But he was good. I mean, from what I saw at least, I didn't see the whole match. I just saw the clips.
Yeah, and he's good. And I thought he was better in WrestleMania than what's his name? YouTube guy. Why am I blanking on his name? You know him, Roy. Wrestle with the Miz. You're muted, by the way.
Sorry, no, I know I was. My son's here in the room as I'm like kind of addressing him as well. Talking about Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake Paul. I thought in SummerSlam, Jake Paul's match was great. He was way better. McAfee looked real robotic. Still good, but you could tell he's not really training the same way. Just I thought was interesting on that. But the Raw Women's title, who was it? It was Bianca Belair and what's her
Becky
name?
Lynch.
Man, Becky Lynch. I got stuck in my head because what's her name? Bayley came out. So Bianca Belair wins, defends her title. They kind of have a nice show of respect, and then Bayley comes out with a new crew, and I got real 90s kind of Attitude Era vibes with it. I thought it was great. The match was good, but kind of that build up. What's up, man? Got a new friend here.
Hey.
He's not interested.
He wanted to hear about that Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch fight.
But Bayley showing up with her group of friends. I never really heard of them. She's been gone for quite a bit, Bayley.
Kind of need her back with the whole Sasha Banks and Naomi bust. Nick, for not knowing it, like there are some things that are what are known as works in the business, right? Where a person pretends to be upset at management and then maybe management pulls them off a show for 2 weeks and they come back 3 weeks later and they're hotter than ever, right? Because now they're like pissed at management and management's making a big thing about not wanting them on the show, but they're defying, man. You know, it becomes this big thing, right? Stone Cold perfected it way back in the day. Well, it's gone way beyond that here with what's recently happened with two of their most important characters. And to wit, these characters held the women's tag team titles at the time. And basically, because they were upset about the writing and where it might be headed, where their characters might be headed, they basically just walked off the show one night and the WWE decided to strip them of their titles, and they haven't made an appearance since. Now, again, in theory, you could suggest this was a work, except they've basically been scrubbed from all WWE like notification information. They're making appearances now under different wrestling names, which usually is a big no-no if you're under a WWE contract. So it's been really interesting to kind of see what, quite honestly, they're going to do with all the turmoil that they have with Vince as well, you know, leaving, what they're going to do at these positions. So I don't know. I don't know if like Bayley, to be honest with you, Adam, between you and me, I don't know if Bayley's enough to like get people back into it.
I maybe not, but I liked how they brought her out, and then we're gonna have a Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch team up. They look like they're at least, you know, enemy of my enemy is my friend situation. I thought that was cool. I got some serious like Attitude Era vibes because they did a lot of that kind of stuff. Those factions and people who normally aren't friends joining together to beat the the big whatever group that's running roughshod at that point. That was good. I have fallen in love with Austin Theory. He is the best heel going right now. I think they should ride him. He loses his match, but he's so unlikable that it's amazing. He's so unlikable that I like him that much more.
You like him for being that good at being unlikable.
He reminds me a lot, and now this is high praise, but he gives me a lot of Eddie Guerrero vibes. You know, just Gatorade. They're not a sponsor. Yeah, so I like him. I like his whole shtick. Gives me that kind of vibes that he's out there to cause trouble. Really like it. I didn't like the main event. We don't need to see Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar wrestle for the 50th time in the last 3 years.
I still drive by this billboard on 121 Business in Louisville touting the greatest match in history coming up at WrestleMania at AT&T Stadium. That was like 8 months ago. Like
as a very, very like from a distant casual observer, I had that thought last night, like scrolling through Twitter. I was like, it's them again? Like, this has been going for a while. Like, I mean, I don't know how this works, but like, are they trying to infuse some like new blood? Like,
it's constantly been the battle with Vince. Like, that's what a lot of people have always complained about with Vince at the helm, is that he's always gone to the well that he knows. And the well that he knows is the biggest guy that's like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, like the biggest muscle man freak in the building. And that's almost always the guy that he's touted as, like Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, all these guys that get run through the title are almost always like giants among men, which stands to reason, I guess, from the standpoint of like, yeah, it's not really that believable when Rey Mysterio like beats up Brock Lesnar. Like, you're right. He would never win that fight. But on occasion, like, you can get way more out of a guy who's maybe smaller in a Daniel Bryant or a, Stone Cold. Like, Stone Cold wasn't the biggest guy in the world, not even the biggest guy on the roster at the time, by far. Like, not one of the smaller guys, actually. But he had that presence, and that presence goes a long way. And I personally have never thought that Roman Reigns has that. They've just like built him into that, where I guess I have to accept that he does because they tell it to me enough.
Yeah, it's stale. And you say that, it's funny. I read something today that Triple H is now back running creative. One of the issues why Vince took him off was because Triple H likes the smaller guys. He likes the indie guys. He likes the more flashy guys. Whereas, like you said, Vince wants the big, Adonises to represent the company. And now that Vince is out, Triple H is back in creative, and a lot of people are excited to see that he may bring in a lot, infuse more young talent, different talent than what we've seen for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
man, we got a good couple legs out of wrestling, though, I have to say. That's probably, I think, as far as we should take it with those couple of big matches. Because, look, man, football is here, right? Like, we shouldn't even wait any longer. Football's here. The Cowboys are back. Honestly, I guess people are really excited. I'm excited because of football season. I'm not necessarily excited about the Cowboy season because I tend to kind of think, like, they had a better opportunity last year. And it's hard to believe that the chips are going to fall in the same favorable way that they did a season ago when they, A, swept the division, and B, like, were relatively healthy all year long. Not perfectly healthy, right? Never going to be. But from the standpoint of what we've seen in seasons past, Zach Martin going down, or a Dak Prescott going down, or a pivotal positional defensive player going down for the year. I mean, we didn't even have Tank for a little bit of time, but like, it's just hard to believe that they're not going to have something like that take place this year. And I look at several different position groups. If it happens on the offensive line, if it happens at wide receiver, if it happens in the secondary, or if it happens at linebacker, like, they're in trouble. And that's a lot of places where you can't have an Achilles heel.
Yeah. And apologize when I put on the run sheet Cowboys, that's synonymous to me with football. So I know we're not all Cowboys fans here.
Of course.
I am not, but I am a Cowboys follower for sure. I've become inundated in it. I would also counter what you just said, Roy, though. That's like every team in the NFL. I mean, right? Like, you lose a player in a major, not to make this Steelers talk, but like the Steelers last year, they lost their nose tackle, one of their better defensive linemen, had the worst run defense in the league. That's just, it's going to happen. I would also say, though, that the NFC, is certainly weaker than it was last year. Like, the Cardinals, what are they? The NFC East still, I don't know if I'm an Eagles believer yet. I could probably be convinced that they'll be pretty good. But the Cowboys have the best quarterback in the division. Tampa Bay's still there. Aaron Rodgers, what weapons does he have? I think the NFC is certainly winnable. Now, did they have a better team last year? Sure. And was the opportunity going into the playoffs better than it potentially could be? Yeah. They had a home game that they absolutely should have won. But at the same time, I think I'm not going to sit up here like, Jerry and Steven and say, like they do every year, like, we feel better today than we did, this time last year. But at the same time, I'm not, and again, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I wouldn't be, I'm not too worried that they're going to lose the NFC East. I need to see Jalen Hurts, prove it before I'd get to that point.
Yeah, NFC is wide open. The team that scares me the most, but I still see a huge issue with San Francisco, because how is
Trey Lance?
Yeah, I'm bad with names today. Trey Lance, how's he going to do? How's he going to fit with that? Rams really don't bother me because I just, we haven't had a
Why not? They why should the reigning Super Bowl champs should bother you? Aaron Donald should bother you.
I see your point, Roy, but there was quite a bit of luck in that playoff run. Nobody was picking the Rams to win the NFC before they.
That's true, but at the same time, they lost one of their best wide receivers in Robert Woods, and they didn't miss a beat. They got Allen Robinson to replace him this offseason, and he's better. They signed Von Miller, Sorry, I think Von Miller
Wagner.
went to the Bills, but they signed somebody,
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner, that I remember being like, man, they signed another guy that like is a capable piece to help them. And I just, again, like they're not, maybe they're not scary, but like they're better than the Cowboys on paper by far.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
There just hasn't been a repeat winner, and it's 98. So it just, that's where I'm at with it. I feel like
in the
history tells
NFC,
us,
right? Well, Brady's in the NFC now, so that can definitely, So I mean, again, like I'm not saying it's impossible, but I look at it this way from the NFC East particularly. Did the Cowboys get better or worse this offseason? Just by like quick answer. Worse. Did the other three teams get better or worse this offseason?
Eagles got better. I don't know if the other two. I don't think they got any
They got better. Well, the answer is they all got better because all of them got to pick in the top 10 in the draft.
Yeah.
And they added some pieces in free agency, and they're coming back healthier, right? For the Commanders, it's adding a quarterback who, while not impressive in Carson Wentz, is probably better than what they had. For the Eagles, it's adding a dynamic wide receiver in A.J. Brown, who immediately slots in as their most dangerous weapon, opposite Devontae Smith, who we all know is actually a dangerous weapon in his own right. And then the Giants, which, I mean, yeah, I still think the Giants are like kind of the worst of the bunch, but they did grab a lot of pieces in positions that they've been soft at, defensive and offensive line. And like they have wide receivers to name if they could ever get a quarterback that could get them the ball. Like Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay had a really down year last year, terrible year last year. But like I
hit it on the head there though. Quarterback.
I think all those teams are better. Like again, I just said all those teams are better. The Cowboys got worse. Even if the difference is still the Cowboys are better on paper than all three of those teams, it's hard to see them sweeping all three of those teams. Having said all that, like their strength of schedule is like bottom 5 in the league, the Cowboys coming into this season. So they should have every reason to think that they can get back to the same place they were last year. And I mean, if you asked me if I was predicting them to do that, I would actually predict them to do that. It's just, can you predict them to go any farther based on what we know? And my answer is like, I feel like that right there is the height of kind of what they can do as I know it today.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said, but yeah, I don't think the gap shrunk enough. I could see Dallas going 4-2 in the division, 5-1. I think they'll drop one to the Eagles just because the Eagles.
Yeah, like I think
with everything.
I don't think they're going to go 12-0 like over a 2-year span. Like that would just be quite remarkable. But then again, Dak does beat up on bad teams, so if they're bad, he'll take advantage.
Yeah, and we got the AFC South this year. We got the.
I know.
I'm looking forward to Jacksonville and.
More bad teams: Jacksonville, Houston, Indianapolis. Maybe a little dangerous with Matt Ryan. I'm picking them as a little bit of a dark horse in the AFC when we like do our picks. But and then the Titans, who like are a formidable opponent. I mean, I'm a Titans fan, as y'all know, but maybe those who don't listen, like I'm a Titans fan, so I can tell you a little bit about them. They are a formidable opponent, but are they a dangerous opponent? Are they a scary opponent? I don't think anybody would say that about them because they don't have a quarterback that inspires fear. Like if you're looking at the Titans, you're going, okay, I have to stop Derrick Henry and I can win a football game. Can you stop Derrick Henry? That's a big question mark. But if you can, typically you're going to do okay against the Titans.
Yeah. So my again, biggest fear for me, San Francisco, has a lot to do with Trey Lance. I'm not convinced of Green Bay, like y'all said. We're going to really see how good Rodgers is with nothing. I won't say nothing, but with unproven weapons. So that'll be interesting. And yeah,
don't say nothing because never will you have an opportunity to get the value you're going to get on Aaron Rodgers wide receivers as you will during fantasy this year. Like Devontae Adams is typically, if not the one, was like one of the first 3 wide receivers going off the board. Sammy Watkins and Alan Lazard are maybe the two biggest names that Aaron Rodgers has thrown to him. If Sammy Watkins goes in like the top 50 in most rounds, like in most drafts that I'm in, I'll be shocked. And anything outside of that, Aaron Rodgers, number one wide receiver, you will take that to the bank, bro. That is a double digit touchdown season coming.
I don't disagree. I'll switch gears a little. Talk to us, Nick, about Steelers. What are you hearing about the quarterback?
Huh? You mean Mitch Trubisky? Mitch Trubisky is going to be the starter week 1. That's just how the Steelers do things. Like Kenny Pickett was never going to be the starter week 1. I say never. More than likely. I would be surprised if he doesn't play at all this year. I am feeling pretty good right now. The defense, I think, is going to be very good. They've got to be top 3 if this team wants to make the playoffs. I don't know how possible that is. They've got to stay healthy. It helps when you have TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year. He's just, he's unreal. And I still, I feel like, and I'm a Steelers fan, like whatever. I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves, like nationally. Like it's all Aaron Donald. That's all anyone talks about when it comes to defense. But TJ Watt has just, the same impact on the game. He's better than Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett can get out of my face. Myles Garrett, whatever, went to Martin, don't care. He doesn't touch TJ Watt. But I think the defense is going to be very good. Can they force some turnovers? They didn't do that last year. And can they stop the run at least like at an average rate? If they can do those two things and the offense can just be okay, then they will surprise some people. I'll say this, though, last thing. The offense will be better with Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett than it was with Ben the last 2 years. At the beginning of 2020, they kind of surprised people with how they played. Once teams figured that out, they really struggled. Last year, the offense was very bad. Ben did not throw over the middle of the field. They couldn't run the ball. He was a statue. And so I think the offense will be much better than it was last year. But the division is just, it's really strong.
How much of your playoff hopes do you think rest on how long Deshaun Watson gets suspended for? I was just about to say, your team might be the only team in football whose playoff chances aren't really up to you.
I think if you ask me today and everyone's healthy, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win the division. I think the Bengals take a bit of a step back. Not major. You've got one of the better young quarterbacks and an awesome receiver. But the Bengals have been a joke the majority of my life. In fact, probably all of it until last year. They're going to take a step back. They, at one point, I don't remember, but they were around 500. They were not, they kind of got hot at the right time.
They did.
Had some, great, had a great playoff run, had a little bit of luck in Kansas City. And you need that to get to the Super Bowl. But I think the Bengals take a step back. If Deshaun Watson is suspended for 8 games, which rumor is that the news is going to come out tomorrow on Monday, if he's suspended for 8 games or more, the Steelers have a playoff shot. Although this guy hasn't played football in a long time, so there might be some rust there. But the Browns have a good roster. So if you ask me today, I would pick the Steelers to be 3rd in the division. I'm not saying that confidently, but they got, a great defense. They've got Mike Tomlin. So they've always got a shot. They've always got a chance. But my expectations are low in what is a just loaded AFC. So
I'll never sleep on the Steelers. I've learned one thing about football in the last 20 years is I'm picking this. I will always pick the Steelers to go to the playoffs. They always,
So safe a bet as there is, probably.
Yeah.
They might not win a game, but they'll somehow get there.
Right. Well, not much to talk. I know training camps just started. I don't want to belabor the point. There's some trade stuff going on, but trade deadline is actually August 2nd this year. So I think we should push that till next week. Then we can talk about what happened and see if there's any big splashes. Because,
I don't know. I guess really more so just like, do you expect it? I don't expect really. I don't think Juan Soto will get dealt. I don't think Shohei Otani gets dealt. Like these big names, there's just too much uncertainty about what you actually pay for a guy like that. I mean, in Otani's case, right? Like that's an impossible number to come up with. He hits like a guy who would earn top prospects, and he pitches like a guy who would earn top prospects.
Yeah.
So, like to give up what it would honestly, what it really should be for his talents, no one can give that up.
Yeah.
I don't think like there's not a package that if I'm the Angels, I think I would accept right now. And then for Soto, I mean, maybe the Nationals get blown away by something. Maybe someone comes and just offers them like 8 prospects. But unless that happens, I think by and large, this trade deadline is going to be a lot of noise coupled with like a lot of just veteran pieces getting moved. Luis Castillo, like, yeah, I mean, not even that veteran. Luis Castillo is still pretty young, but like Luis Castillo, Noah Syndergaard, like not names that are like blowing the doors off.
Yeah, besides the big ones. Do you think Gallo comes back to Texas?
I mean, what are the besides the big ones like Soto and them two are to me the big ones, Soto and Otani, and they're not going to move. Anything beyond that is like, Andrew Benintendi's type. Like that's the type of guys that get moved, and that's the type of guy that got moved when he was traded from the Royals to the Yankees on a weekend when they were playing each other. So he just switched dugouts.
You think Gallo comes back to Texas?
I do, and I think they'd be smart to sign him to a multi-year deal now because, yes, I know you're shaking your head. You're giving me thumbs down. Hear me out. Okay. They are about to ban the shift. They're working on banning it in the minor leagues right now. They got a system to do it. Basically, what they're doing is they're taking second plate and they're drawing like a 90-degree angle, right, from second, and no infielder can occupy in between those like imaginary lines. So, I really think that for Joey Gallo, especially if you can convince him to sign on like a $6 to $8 million deal, like next to nothing for 3 years, right? Give him the security and the stability of knowing that he's going to make that type of money for the next 3 years, and he doesn't need to do anything. Like he doesn't need to be good.
And Joey Gallo always came across to me as a guy that like never really wanted to leave. Like he did an interview on TV with Emily Jones, after potentially one of his last games, and like really kind of said it. And he also seems like the guy, like I was in the clubhouse barely, but like when he was first kind of around, he seems like the guy that needs to be comfortable. Not that he's not made for New York, because a lot of guys aren't, but he doesn't seem like a big spotlight guy. Like, here, the Rangers in the scope of Major League Baseball, nobody's paying attention to the Rangers. And he performed, here. He played well. I think I'm right there with you, Roy. I think I'd be all for that, and I think you could get a little bit of a resurrection there. And it'd be, low pressure. Other guys making way more money than him. They're the faces of the team, and he could find something in Texas.
I could be convinced if it's a low stakes, but
don't get me wrong. It's got to be low stakes. Like you're almost rooting for him to be horrible the rest of this year. So he looks around and goes, well, the only place I want to play is the only place I've ever had any success, right? Because you don't want a Chris Davis situation. You're paying him $30 million to be a minor leaguer. Like you're not trying to do that. So you guard against it a little bit. But 25 or 30 over 3 years, like to take a chance that maybe he can hit 40 again for you. That's a worthwhile investment to me, especially when you look around that outfield like Tavares, Adolis Garcia, Joey Gallo. That's a really salty defensive outfield, like arms, cannons left and right.
Yeah. And we need left-handed power. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be hated if he came back, but I'm not the biggest Gallo fan at all.
Well, I get it. Like you're not blown away by it, and I'm not saying it should be their first move. I'm just saying while we're talking about the player, hey, let me throw a bone your way. See what you think.
Well, we'll see. Let's talk more in depth of it next week after the trade deadline and see what happened, if anything. I might be shocked, but that's all I got. Y'all got anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Oh man,
all right, check our sponsors out. What's that?
So wife's about to kill me. So
Okay,
Get out of here.
well, all
Appreciate
right.
it, boys.
Have a good one. Till we see you again. Stay above average.